Yo, what is up everybody? We are back for part 3 of my Pokemon Leaf Green Let's Play. I know it's been a while guys, I do apologize for the delays, as I typically do, because if you're subscribed to my channel, you know I do not have a very scheduled, I do not have a premeditated schedule for my uploads. I just upload basically whenever I feel like it, and whenever I feel like talking about stuff that I feel is somewhat relevant and interesting and maybe possibly even entertaining. Who would have thunk it? But anyways, I'm going to get started here. As you may have already noticed, I'm using a new sort of overlay skin for my Visual Boy Advance emulator, which I'm playing on right now. And if you guys don't like it, or if you guys think any different of it, and it bothers you, I could probably use something else. If not, no biggie. I'm going to keep using this because I think it looks cool. But yeah. Here we are, Cerulean City. About to take on that redhead Misty as soon as I finish up with her gym goons. Louis. Swimmer Louis. Or is it Lewis? I don't know. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys have all been very well. I hope you haven't been fucking caught in that hurricane that is going on in the stateside right now. I mean, we caught some of the repercussions here in Canada. I live in Toronto, which is basically just north of the border from Buffalo, for some people who may or may not know their geographical regions all that well. And, yeah, basically all that we got hit with was the rain and some intense wind. But other than that, I mean, there wasn't any ridiculous flooding. There certainly wasn't hurricane winds or anything like that. It was just, it was a bit more gusty than usual, and it was all rainy. So yeah, it was not that good. It didn't knock out my internet, luckily though, or anything like that. So I'm thankful for that. And from what I've seen on the news, I don't watch very much TV, but from what I've seen, the damage was It's pretty hardcore. I mean, that's the most flooded that NYC, New York City, has ever been, like ever. And that's pretty crazy, man. And it makes me think about all the changes that are going on with our atmosphere and just the general quality of life for people. I mean, they're talking about LA, California, all being like underwater in the next 10-15 years, which doesn't affect me at all by any means because I live in Canada, but it's just crazy to think about all the shit that our environment is dealing with right now, and just how Mother Nature is taking a poo-poo on everybody's chest and rubbing it in. But I mean, hey, what can you do, right? Basically, all I would suggest, if you are in the eye of the storm, so to speak, would be just fucking run for cover, motherfucker. I don't know. I mean, I've never really had to deal with any sort of thing like that, so I probably wouldn't be all the best at giving the advice. So I'm not gonna. Anyways, another thing I want to talk about very, very briefly, because I know this is supposed to be gaming related, and I try to keep it gaming related for the most part. We're going to be talking about the NHL. Oh, the NHL. And I can understand if you're not a fan of hockey. Just hear me out for a second here. Okay, so out of all the major sports, we have the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, I guess the PGA if you want to count that shit, and the MLB. The major ones right there. I personally think that the hockey players work the hardest for their money out of everybody, besides maybe the football players, because that's probably some might say it's even more physically demanding than hockey, but I think you have to be more athletic when you play hockey than just physically built. Like, you could be a 400 pound fucking lineman and be in the NFL and just be almost not almost all pure fat, but you guys know what I'm saying when you see the big line, the offensive linemen or defensive linemen. They're fucking huge, man. They're gigantic, like sumo wrestlers wearing fucking equipment. It's ridiculous. And if you look at like an NHL player, they're usually pretty cut. You gotta be pretty cut to play that. I think the only people that are in better shape then NHL athletes are probably should I just add it to soccer? There you go. Because that's just end-to-end running for like 60 minutes. That's just insane. But with that being said, I think the NHL people work the hardest, or the NHL players work the hardest, and I find it's really bullshit that all this lockout's going on regarding money and player contracts and all kinds of shit. But whatever. I mean, it is what it is. It just really upsets me because I had actually intended on buying NHL 13, which would have been the first hockey game I had bought in like, let me think here. I think the last copy of NHL that I bought was the one with Jerome with Iggy on the cover, and that was like '03 or some shit. I mean, it's been a long ass time since I bought a hockey game. I usually play hockey games whenever I go over to my friend's house because it's a multiplayer game. It's just fun like that, right? Head to head, but for my own free leisure, I hadn't played a hockey game in a long time, and I was really looking forward to getting NHL 13. And what I was going to do was the same thing that I did back in the day, where I would play as the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is my hometown team. I'd play as them, and I'd play along the regular season, game by game, and I would periodically edit the lines accordingly for the entire league so it was as accurate as possible, and I had a blast doing that. And I know now EA has server updates, which I think automatically update the roster throughout the regular season. Don't quote me on that. So it might defeat the purpose, but I still wanted to feel that same nostalgia of playing through game by game as my home team. I like that. But they had to lock it out. So what I did was I canceled my pre-order for NHL 13. I ended up getting Resident Evil 6, which I do not have anymore either because I wanted to get Medal of Honor Warfighter. Before I get into Medal of Honor Warfighter, I will talk briefly about Resident Evil 6. Resident Evil 6, I would say, is an excellent game. It's not perfect. It's not a 10 out of 10. They didn't smash that shit out of the park, Barry Bonds, by any means. But it's a pretty damn good game. And my opinion might not be the best because, I'll put this out there, I only played through 1.5 of the campaigns. I played through Chris Redfield's campaign because he's always been my favorite Resident Evil character. And then I played through like half of Leon's campaign. And by the time I played through half of Leon's campaign, Medal of Honor was right around the corner and I really wanted to get that. And what I can say good about Resident Evil 6 is they didn't do too much over-the-top Hollywood shit like they did in Resident Evil 5, which I thought was pretty ridiculous. Like, a buddy of mine pointed it out not too long ago, like, how weird was it when Chris started punching that fucking boulder in the volcano versus Wesker? I mean, what the fuck was up with that? But they didn't have any stupid shit like that in RE6, and the final boss fight for Chris is just absolutely fucking epic. I'm not gonna ruin any of it for you. But, yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say about Resident Evil 6. Very visually appealing. If you liked the Resident Evil series, pick this game up, just cause, I mean, you have to. And that's about all I will say about that. Moving on to Medal of Honor, excuse me. The Medal of Honor Warfighter beta was incredibly fun. I played it with one of my friends, and the thing with Medal of Honor is they got this fire team thing going now, where it's people squad up as 2-man fire teams, and in teams of 5 fire teams, so 10 people total per team. And the spawn system's kind of different. You can spawn off your buddy, your fire team buddy, but you can't spawn off anybody else. And if you don't spawn off your buddy, you have to choose the fallback spawn, which is basically your team's default spawn. So that's kind of different from a typical FPS, like, let's say, for example, Call of Duty. And, you know, I really enjoyed it. Me and my friend must have played that game for, what, I think on my Raptor tractor. My Raptor tractor makes it sound like a fucking vehicle, but my Raptor game tracker, I'll leave a link in the description below. You guys should get that shit because it's awesome. But in my Raptor tracker, Jesus Christ, my Raptor tracker, I ended up tracking like 19 plus hours of gameplay just from the beta alone. So that says something when I played the game for that much, because I usually stray away from shitty games. Fuck's sakes, this is fucking stupid. I fucking wasted 15 minutes of my fucking life. Jesus fucking Christ. It's bullshit. You hope I excel? Yo, I fucking excel. You can go fuck yourself, Miss Nurse Lovejoy. Fucking bitch.
RPG!